Hey, everybody, welcome to Noble Logistics. Thanks for downloading, watching, whatever you're doing. It's fantastic. Just pay attention because this guy's really cool. His name's Patrick Bishop, and he's founder or co-founder, can't remember which one, CEO, president, the whole thing of ReRoute Americas. And you've been on my other podcast, The Sustainiacs, and it really crosses both, right? Logistics and sustainability, because that's really what it is. And it's fantastic what you guys are doing. And, I wanted to have you back on and to do a logistics show after the sustainability show because of, what you're doing in inventory management and that type of stuff. And you've got some really cool development and use of AI. And everybody puts AI on the back of their stuff, right? But yours actually doing it. But Patrick, welcome to the show, brother.
No, really man, thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. It's fantastic what you're doing. Can you just quickly to the audience, who is ReRoute America? Because the name, I like the name, but it doesn't really capture everything that you guys are doing. Of course,
Correct.
Whose name really does,
and,
right? I mean, if you look at AMCO, does AMCO really capture?
Oh. Yeah, it's the funniest thing, and when you're starting a business, coming up with a name, and it's usually the hardest thing to do because most people just end up using their initials or their last name when they start a company. But we kind of figured, since we were starting kind of at the end of COVID, and there was a lot of supply and logistic issues, especially with China, that one of the things that we talked about was rerouting the supply and distribution chain by using North, Central, and South American factories rather than just dependence on China, right? So that's how the name came.
See, I never asked you that question. I should ask you that question. God, I should have asked you that the first time. Well, I mean, you figured out what you were going to do, like over a couple, like a margarita or two, didn't you? I mean, that's where you discovered the company, right?
I discovered the agave straw, and it blew me away. And next thing you know, we were buying a truckload of straws, and we were known as the straw guys. And now we have over 700 SKUs, and we're in 8 professional sports stadiums. So anything you buy that goes from a drink to food, all the way to the trash liners, we supply all the stadiums, and all of it has one component of sustainability, which is either compostable, it's biodegradable, or it's recyclable. And then one thing we talked about is we have the education piece too, which is making sure that you actually are using the correct materials and disposing of it properly, because it's such a greenwashing effect that goes out there. But part of how the logistics comes in is because, we're end of life cycle, we're last mile. So, we partner directly with the manufacturer. We bring it into our own warehouses. We then resell it, but we also do the distribution and bring it in to resorts, hotels, restaurants, and obviously sports stadiums. So, it's been interesting. But now we've kind of, we're not the only distributor out there in the world, but I think we've really differentiated ourselves by creating this inventory management platform. And yes, some of it is powered by AI, but it is a real difference maker, because I was very shocked to see what's actually not in our industry, and how to better use it. Yeah.
Well, logistics, I mean, and obviously inventory management and inventory control and all kind of stuff is part of logistics. I've dealt with that. 8 years in distribution and that type of stuff for really floor covering industry, a company that serviced floor covering. And we did other things. We did merge shipments for like windows and doors and stuff like that. We did everything that had to be merged, delivered, and pool distribution or order fulfilled, but didn't quite fit in LTL. And truckload really well. That's what we did. It was very niche type of stuff. 15-foot roll, 4 feet across roll of carpet doesn't fit really well in an Old Dominion trailer. We did all that kind of stuff. But that industry, the trucking industry specifically, that most of my career has been in trucking and international freight, as far as maritime and aircraft, so archaic in its technology. Holy cow.
Well, it's interesting, and what we're doing is we're taking that next step with the inventory management, which is, besides just managing our inventory, we're managing our clients' inventory.
Yeah.
And inventory management's nothing new, right? It's done in distribution, but it's just done for their own warehousing. It's not done to benefit the client. And this really started, and I know we started talking about it on the last podcast, but for everybody else, we have a big client here in Orlando, and I would have to go. They asked me to come in every week to do their inventory with their inventory guy. Okay, that's the first red flag.
Yeah.
Why am I doing what this guy is being paid to do?
Yeah.
And then after we do the inventory, he would put an order together. And so they then would submit the order. But he was ordering stuff that's been sitting on his shelf. And I'm like, why are you bringing that in again? And what I quickly realized is a lot of operators and purchasing in particular, they operate out of fear, which is I can't run out. What if something happens? And I'm like,
Mm.
don't you have access to this information? And so I'd been playing around with AI for about a year, and I started writing some code, and then it quickly got way above my pay range. And I have a very good friend that's a principal architect for AI, and I kind of sat down, told him what I'm doing, and he just took it and ran with it. So basically, what we're doing is we're plugging into getting occupancy rates, vacancy. If we're plugging into weather, we're plugging into past order history, and what we're doing is predicting what that weekly order is going to look like for you. It then submits it to purchasing, and they have their own portal. Submits it to purchasing. They can either hit submit, or they can add, edit, delete. They send it back to us. It gets fulfilled in 24 hours. Um, the model itself already is past 95% accurate on the prediction. Our goal
Oh
is to get above
wow.
97%. Yeah, it's insane. And there's some cool things that go with it too, which is besides the predictive ordering, the next phase is it's a real time we call it the sustainability scoreboard. So they'll get a real time dashboard that shows how much of their order meets sustainability guidelines. What's the carbon footprint reduction by using some of these products? I mean, we're even tabulating our vehicles and the emissions done with that to calculate what the actual score is for your weekly order, and it will track
Mm.
it all year. Now, this does two things for the client. Especially in the tourism industry, 67% of all tourists look for sustainable options when picking a hotel property. So
Right.
our hotel clients can use this for sales and marketing, saying, "Hey, listen, our ordering, we 87% of all the items we bring in meet sustainability guidelines. Come stay at our property." They're able to give it back to corporate. So say you're Marriott and you have ESG guidelines and mandates you got to hit, and you say, "Hey, listen, our 13 properties here in Orlando are exceeding the 70% demand and are all north of 85%. They can make other properties compete against each other for who's the most sustainable. It's very, it's real time data, and it's very detailed and explicit. It's not just very generic data. And then the third part is where we're really seeing, which is the scalability besides just F&B, is a virtual warehouse. So
Mm.
what happens is all of our products have a QR code on it that's got a UHF receiver. So when we deliver it to you, let's say 20 recyclable cups, 20 cases of recycled cups. So you'll log in and you automatically see your warehouse populated with 20 cups. The minute you pull one of those off and out of the stock room and open the box, it breaks the code, alerts the antenna that it's not being fed anymore. So it automatically takes that out of your inventory. So you don't have to walk inventory anymore. You don't have to visually do it. You literally can log on. So let's say you're gone for the weekend, and so you don't really pay attention. On Friday, you had 32 cases of straws. You log in on Monday. Oh crap, what happened? We're down to 4. I can't wait for my Friday delivery. And then the portal allows you just to replenish your order right then and there, and we'll have it back to you in 24 hours. So the AI model is great because it predicts, but there are certain things it cannot predict. So take Orlando, where I'm at, one of the busiest travel centers in America. If
Hmm.
the airport shuts down because of a technicality, you're going to see occupancy rates go from 82% to 100%, and you can't forecast that. But what will happen is you can quickly log in. You'll see exactly where your stock levels are. Like, oh crap, I need to reorder because I'm not going to get through this weekend. So what we're doing is we're maximizing time and efficiency. We're reducing overspending by 20 to 30%. That's what we're already factoring that in. So you take big hotel budgets that are, close to $1 million in paper and disposable, and you're talking about 200 to 300,000 in annual savings. First of all, purchasing is going to look like a genius, right? But the efficiency is where you're really getting it. And it's a subscription base, so you're going to be paying monthly fee to us. But all of our clients that are in the testing phase with this said, if you're saving us that much money, we don't care, about a licensing fee. But so we're really solving a lot of problems with that. In addition,
That's amazing.
bringing sustainable products.
There's so much there to unpack and, and talk about. We need about 4 hours to talk about all of it. I mean, it's really amazing. First off, you're dealing with resorts, right? And professional stadiums and that type of stuff, right? When you talk about, very first, I took a bunch of notes, but when you talk about it includes, it's doing some predictive. So it's not only like, okay, this date last year was a Sunday. This year it's a Tuesday, right? 4th of July is on a Sunday this year, or Friday this year, as opposed to Wednesday last year. So it's taking in those type of, I would think, right? And then
Yep.
you said weather. Is it taking? So that's really on a demand side, right? Does it? As far as what they're, or is it looking at both, like availability and transportation availability? Because when you say weather, if I'm in a resort and I'm purchasing, what I need and how I can get there are and when I have to order in order to make it sure it gets here are both impacted by weather.
Yeah, so I'll give you some real time examples that the AI model and the platform used. First of all, for resorts down here in Florida, if it's going to rain during the day, their takeout goes up compared to down because people aren't sitting out at the pool drinking. They now taking their food because these are the resorts. Remember, they're not going to get in the car and drive around. They're going to order the room service or they're going to go do the takeout and bring it back to their room. So we see that increase. Now, the real world example was Post Malone was playing here in June.
Okay.
And we had been beta testing the AI model, the inventory management system with the concessionaire at Camping World. And the weather pattern picked up that there was going to be severe thunderstorms right as the concert was going to start, and they were going to last for 2 hours. To the point that we alerted them saying that, listen, the first 2 acts are most likely going to get canceled before Post Malone comes out. You're going to have to order more product. And they said, well, if it's going to rain that bad, people are going to leave. I said, the weather pattern shows that it's going to be, what do you call it? Forgive me. We'll have to edit this part out, but
I don't edit anything, brother. You better come up with it. Oh, shelter in place. So is that severe?
Leave the stadium. So and you can't stand outside in an outdoor stadium at Camping World. So you know what they do? They go inside to the concessions. So
That's
we
exactly what
literally brought over a couple more pallets of product, and it got them through that night because they next day said if we didn't do that, they would have ran out mid show because you're not forecasting people for 2 hours sitting and drinking, waiting for a concert to start.
Yeah, and if you're in shelter in place and it's that severe, you have to do that, and you can provide them that intelligence. It's not that hey, it's going to rain and these guys are in trouble, and they would never know that. They wouldn't think that, and they would be out. You're exactly
that's
right.
That's what that AI model is doing by plugging into the weather, weather.com and other outlets that it's forecasting that time. But I mean, weather affects your ordering history, whether you're at a ball game. I was talking to a potential client the other day, and they were talking about they were at a Cubs game earlier this year, and it was damn near like freezing temperature, and it wasn't expected. It was like one of those. It was 58 degrees on Sunday. Monday it dropped to like 34, and what happened is they didn't have any hot chocolate to sell.
Oh boy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he goes, but he's like, but of course they had hats and sweaters for $150 that people were going to buy. To keep warm. But you think a great opportunistic thing would be checking the weather and saying, okay, listen, it's going to be damn near freezing, even though it's during the daytime. And you average 30,000 fans. What an opportunity for us to sell a product that normally we wouldn't move in the summer, which is hot chocolate. So you bring it in for a game, and you know what? You'll make tens of thousands of dollars doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Opportunistic. Well, you have the opportunity, you have the options to make an impact, or you have a solution that can be done. You have an action that can be taken, right? Because a lot of people, they get the data, but there's no action provided as well. They've got to figure out their own action, and having your system to do that that's a huge leg up, right? To just know I've got to take an action, but then providing the ability and the action for them to perform at the same time. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? I mean, I've got a supply partner who's going to tell me, look, don't order all this because you're going to lose your butt. You don't need all this, but you need to order this now because this is what is happening. It makes everybody much more efficient.
Well, the good thing for us as also the distributor, I mean, again, it's, this is scalable, so we can sell the inventory management platform to even non-clients, right? But it gives us on the distribution side saying, hey, by the way, so for instance, on the sustainability scoreboard, so let's say you're batting 82%, but it'll look at it and say, hey, by the way, if you switch out of single-use plastics and go to single-use plastic straw and go to an agave straw, your score will increase by 88%.
Mm.
Um, right. So
Mm.
that's one of the things that we'll do to try to get your sustainability score higher. It'll suggest things that you could switch out.
Right.
But the other thing, that's relevant in that is, so let's say we go to Marriott says, hey, listen, we've got 20 properties in Seattle. We want this inventory management system in there. It's like, fine, okay, because the AI can move speed of light. Moving distribution, like just setting up shop, it's not that easy. But all of a sudden, it's, hey, by the way, we can do all this for you. Oh, and if you want, we also can deliver the product to you too. So it's kind of a trail along Salesforce, an opportunity for us. But I definitely see our inventory management platform in a lot more places before we have a physical presence on the distribution side.
Does this? I mean, and you're speaking specifically to the industry that you service through your physical distribution abilities, right? Is what we does this predictive modeling and scoring? Have you looked at how it impacts industries outside of hospitality?
Yes. Yeah, and that's the good thing about it. I have an unbelievable chief technology officer who's the architect behind this, and another engineer that they did the magic bands at Disney World and stuff like that. I mean, we've got some top level people that are thinking outside the box every day, and how
Mm-hmm.
scalable it is to other industries, and what other outlets do we need to API to get the relevant data into. Um, like I said, this is bigger than food and beverage. It can be a cost saving across anything. Just saying on the resort side, housekeeping. Housekeeping is usually kept separate from F&B, right? But
Yeah.
why can't they both track? Why are you're going to use the same models? So that's an easy one for us to take on, which is what else in the resort space do we need to do? But then talking with our concessionaires that we work at the stadiums, like, it's applicable to food too. And more importantly, on that inventory management system, we can timestamp you'll know exactly from the dashboard what time and what day you received that product on. And there'll be another line that says this is when it needs to be used by, or it needs to be thrown out. Right. So you can start to, because now everyone does it hand, and they put the sticker on saying this was packed on 12/1, and has to be done by 12/15. Again, that's
Yeah.
manual stuff that's taking time. Boom, that automatically gets coded in the minute it gets delivered to you. So it's already set up there. So if think about it this way, anything that requires supply or you put on a shelf, the inventory management system is applicable to.
Yeah, but that it also monitoring the current, past, and near future environment around it, as far as number of people, weather, anything that might be happening in it. How quickly does it respond to something like a shutdown of an airport due to weather or
It
something
was
like that?
so the
Do you
model's
API
talking.
from those type of things to be able to talk to them and say, "Look, you guys are screwed"?
So the model obviously runs 24/7, and I believe every 3 seconds it's feeding off the API. So it'll have real time
Okay.
data. So the minute the airport were to shut down, we would get alerted right away. And then what we'll do is we'll automatically trigger people that are our clients that are affected in the area to an alert saying, understand that the airport's closed. You know, if there's unexpected time when it will reopen, guess what? People are going to start checking back in the hotel. So you might want to consider a reorder ahead of schedule. Um, I mean, and then uh, airport concessions are another thing, right? Which
Yeah,
is
yeah, 100%. That's what I'm thinking. Is all of those things. I mean, even. I would suspect that even like national or even not national, just your Oasis, like on the turnpike there in Florida, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, that type of stuff, but also your Buckies that are blowing up everywhere, right? They, traffic jams are like they're like, yeah, we don't want to wreck, but a nice long 3 hour traffic jam would be fantastic for business, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, when Bucky's, enough people go there just because of the novelty of it, but
A
something
hundred
like that,
percent.
something that happens like that, and it happens a lot, as you know, on 95. Yeah, people are
Yeah.
pulling off. Gas stations are going to explode. Fast food's going to explode. People want to get off the road. They don't like sitting in a traffic jam. So we're able to model all of that and get that real time information and get it to people. I mean, like I said, when we started working on this, some of the purchasing looked at us and said, well, is this going to eliminate my job? I said, absolutely not. It's going to make you a lot more efficient. You'll look great to corporate because you're not overspending. One of the fellows on my advisory board is Peter D'Amelio, and he used to be the president of Cheesecake Factory. He absolutely is in love with this system. And he said the reason why is, he goes, I would have managers that at the beginning of the month would over order because their budgets were flush. And by the end of the month, they're putting in real small orders, thinking that they're saving the company money, where you wasted that money for 3 weeks because you bought stuff that you weren't going to use until the third week because you had such a big budget on January 1, so to speak. So
Yeah.
this is the one that, so in theory, the way it works is that if you take a weekly delivery every Thursday, on Wednesday night, you should be pulling the last box of everything off the shelf, right? So when
Yeah.
Thursday
Right.
morning we deliver, you open back up, you're completely restocked. That's 100% efficiency of your budget and your purchasing
Mm-hmm.
power. When it
Mm-hmm.
sits there longer, you're losing money on that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you are making the case. I mean, there's a bunch of things going on here, right? I mean, COVID was like, all right, let's argue about just in case versus just in time. Where did just in time come from? What does it mean? Let's near shore everything, or reshore or everything, or other than China shore all of all of our sourcing, right? What is my option? What's my optionality in sourcing my products that I need to bring in, or my raw materials, et cetera? And what is my predictive analytics? And how accurate are they, and how timely are they? Like you keep saying, this is real time. Within seconds is real time. You're solving all of those things for these people, right? You've pretty much reshored things, which is interesting to me because a lot of the recycled stuff. I mean, the United States has the most plastic waste, but we also import recycled plastics, which makes no sense to me.
Well, yeah, I mean
But
that's the head scratcher, right? I mean,
that's ridiculous. But I'm just getting to the point where, I mean, you have given them the ability to not be just in case anymore in the products that you serve, right?
right.
And that you do. Other than that, I mean, they still got to kind of manage what they are, but they're going to be managing at a much more accurate pace, right? And level.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the idea. And again, the way that the inventory management system will work. I mean, we have some clients that just don't have a lot of storage space, but they move a heavy volume, so they're going to take multiple deliveries, and the
Yeah.
model takes that into account. And even on the predictive, it's like if we know you're taking every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, it will send you an order every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and all you have to do is hit OK, and then it's there to you the next morning.
Yeah.
So we build the model to adapt. I mean, a lot of the places in Disney, right behind me, um,
Sure.
deliver 7 days a week because that's how much they go through. I mean, we've got a couple properties at Disney Springs that we deliver to. We're delivering on holidays. We're delivering on the weekend because they don't close. They're open 365. They're open from
Yeah.
11 to 7, whatever the lease requirements are, but they're open every day. And you know what? You're talking about the number one and number three largest independent restaurants in North America on the same property, literally 200 feet from each other. Luckily, they're both our
Wow.
clients, and they take multiple deliveries every week. I already got theirs slated for tomorrow, so it's interesting.
That is, yeah, no, I mean, and you can't fail.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah,
listen, with someone like Disney, you have one opportunity to make it right
yeah,
because
you do.
everyone's lining up and wants that account.
So, I mean, I'm just, it just boggles my mind because another industry that really operates almost very, very similar to the resort and hospitality would be like your big box retailer, specifically DIY and home centers, right? Like home. I mean, if it depending on the day of the week or the weather, Home Depot or Lowe's is packed or it's empty, depending on weather.
Well, absolutely. But when you talk about how is this scalable, I'll give you a perfect example. So if you remember my previous background, I did merger and acquisitions before we started this, but my first industry job, I was in construction. And a lot of general contractors, they supply their own tools, to a degree. And one of the things I've always recognized for 20 years in that industry is that there wasn't very good maintenance on or inventory on it. People would always they take a hammer, walk off, it doesn't show back up. That costs you money when it doesn't show back up. You mean, you think about it this way, an inventory management system like that, each thing will have a barcode on it. You're going to know where it's at all times. And if
I need that at my house.
Right. If it's sitting at an employee's house, it's like, it'll show you who checked it out and where it's at. And if it hasn't come back, you know who the culprit is.
Yeah. That's amazing. That is really, 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 really cool stuff. So this is out there. I mean, anybody can, like you said, they don't have to be a client of yours. They can be outside the industry to grab this stuff.
Listen, if someone's listening to this and says, "Hey, how is this applicable to my industry?" I can tell you right now, our CTO and our AI engineer will figure it out, and they can get it done quickly
because it's fairly customizable, easily customizable.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that. So, there's some hardware involved because there's an antenna system that we have to install. So it has, it's feeding off of those QR codes.
It's an RFID, right?
Right. So, but you can create that QR code for any product that you have. So, and the thing is, we have a little ReRoute kit, so we can send it to you. And it's nothing complicated. If you're a hotel property or a sports stadium, you've got an engineering team anyway that can install this no matter what. But if you're a small up and coming, but you like the inventory management system, there's going to be instructions on how you got to place it. And, and we actually will have 24/7 real-time assistance that even if you want to get on FaceTime to show, hey, no, you want to install it there or you need to install it there. And there's some rules where, you can't put it behind an aquarium, for instance, because, UHF doesn't read through water. But other than that, even if you stack the boxes on top of each other and the QR codes are on top of each other, it still reads it that it's in that room. So, we've been beta testing the hell out of this. And like I said, we're at 95% accuracy on the predictions. We want to get north of 97. If the thing ever starts telling the real future, then, I'll ask it for lottery tickets. What's the lottery, what are the lottery numbers on Friday?
Yeah, I love it. You better give me a ring when that happens. Where are people going to get more information on this, brother?
Well, certainly. So they can go to our website, which is being rebuilt as it is, but we'll have our platform on the inventory management at www.ReRouteAmericas.com. That's ReRouteAmericas.com. They can call our 800 number, which is 833, the number 7, and then ReRoute, ReRoute. If you're interested in someone reaching out to you directly, you can send us an email at info@ReRouteAmericas.com.
Fantastic, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for being on the show. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to and downloading Noble Logistics, man. We'll see you guys next time. Peace and love.
Great seeing you again. Thank you.
Right on, brother. Peace. Hey.